This is the podcast that we ask our guests from in front and behind the camera, how did they get their foot in the door? What was the key to unlocking their success? What's their story?
Join me and our guest, Glasgow's very own Bafta Winning Casting Director, as we chat about why he knew Top Boy was going to be special, hitting rock bottom after casting This Is England. He also shares the surprising amount of objects that people throw at him in the room. He gives me the best audition advice I've had, and even promises to send me a pair of trainers if I get a call back on my next tape. Our guest today is Casting Director Des Hamilton.
Hey Des, how's it going?
Hey, how are you?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Thanks for taking the time to do this. I really appreciate it. I know you must be very busy.
No, it's just kind of a surprise to be asked, and it kind of is it's of interest. Sometimes I don't know what I'm thinking until I talk about it. So it's
Yeah,
a very good opportunity for me to I've got a team of makeup artists nearby. It should only take me 3 or 4 hours to put my
good.
face.
Perfect. Plenty of time.
You're okay to stay. I'm sure you've got the time to watch the team go to work.
Oh yeah, lovely.
I did they tell you I've got a problem with swearing?
Yeah, that's fine. Don't worry about that. That's all good.
Did you mention?
No, no. I've heard the rumors. Um,
How long do you reckon?
if you're up for 25, 30 minutes, that would be great.
I think you'll be bored out of your mind after 14 minutes.
We'll see how we go, and if it's really bad, I'll pull the plug, and then we
Yeah,
can.
do that.
Yeah.
Just make up some lame excuse, invent a dog that you don't
Yeah.
have.
I've really got to
Got
go. The makeup took too long, so we're gonna get going.
Let's say it
But
into a time.
yeah,
Okay.
exactly. I'm intrigued to ask. I heard that you started out as an actor. Is that at all true, or is that just sort of speculation? Is that actually a thing?
And I was I was living in London. I played football with some people, regular bounce games, and some of them were directors, and I did a few commercials.
Okay.
Well, made a few quid, and obviously, being the fucking idiot that I am, I thought I was Sean Connery and I wanted to be an actor, and then I had no no ability, first and foremost, no talent for it, but I had no drive towards it. I didn't particularly. It wasn't of interest to me as as a career path or something I want. I liked the idea of it, the idea of the lifestyle which I perceived it brought, and the money, and kind of the shiny aspects, but I had no interest in, yeah. And plus as well, I was pretty crap. I'm not, and
That's the main thing.
yeah, I was pretty bad.
There's a lot
So
of bad actors out there, though, so you never know if you'd kept going.
I could, yeah. Well, you see, in saying that, I'm sure it's, like, it's a profession where you can, if you apply yourself, stick at it. A pretty bad actor, I imagine, could become very good if they're around the right sort of people and really willing to push themselves. I think an underestimated part of becoming very good at most things is failure.
Mm.
A certain amount of failure is not a bad thing. You learn from it and push yourself forward, and not to revisit those kind of mistakes that maybe the approach wasn't great. So
100%.
it can happen for them.
Mm. And I believe that was this around the time that you met Lynne Ramsay, the writer-director. Was that around that time? Because I believe she kind of brought you into casting. Is that
Oh yeah.
correct?
Oh yeah. It's kind of, and it's very personal, but there's no point in talking if you're not going to, you know, uh, recount things authentically, I had drug problems when I was a kid, and I ended up in rehab for a year when I was 19, and I shared a room with Lynne's brother, and we were very close. We were good friends, and you would get visits on a Saturday and Sunday, and James had two, three sisters, and they would come up and see him. They'd say, "Come over and say hello," and you'd go over and chat. And I remember talking to his sister, and she spoke of some film, and I was, I was, although being a drug addict, I was always cinema film obsessed. So we had a conversation about that, and it was quite I imagine back then, mid-80s, just outside Glasgow, two people sitting chatting about Fellini in a rehabilitation centre visiting area. You know, so there was a kind of a connection there. And I bumped into her years later in London,
Mm.
and a friendship developed, and she was casting Morvern Call, and she asked me to have a scout around, just look here and there. And I was very, very interested in it and very flattered to be asked. And yeah, so that was my entry.
Mm. Wow,
To
that's really wild. So it's a real, does that feel like a real sliding doors moment meeting her?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And the thing is as well, you know, as much as she's became my friend, I kind of reticent to use the word idolize, but you know, and she wouldn't like that. But I think she's such a tremendous filmmaker. It was such a gift to be around
Mm.
those people. And Samantha Martin was in that film. It was produced by Robin Slovo. You know, I was having the time of my life, you know. Sometimes they would, you know, you get called upon to do something and they would be almost apologetic. And I'd be like, oh, fuck, no way, man. I'll come in and clean up afterwards. I'll sweep the floor, you
Yeah.
know. And I pretty much would still do that around Lynne. You know, I think she's a really, really, you know, I'm very patriotic, and she does national treasure, a
Mm.
wonderful, incredibly talented filmmaker.
Mm.
And yeah, I'm very grateful for the opportunity that she provided me with.
Mm. Well, we'll talk a little bit later about the sort of the rest of your career and things that have come up, but it's amazing to hear that start and that be, you know, a lot of people listen to this podcast hoping to find a key or a way into the industry, and some people down on their luck. So that's a great thing to hear that, you know, it can happen like that. You can meet the right person and they champion you. We had, I know Tommy Flanagan. I've worked with him a few times.
Yeah.
And I believe, like, obviously he was in Ratcatcher, which was one of her films as well. Is that you guys know each other? That's how you met Tommy Flanagan as well?
He's my best friend. He's my, he's my son's godfather, and I'm
Yeah,
his daughter's
yeah.
father. We've remained close throughout. We were friends in our late teens
Mm.
when things were pretty rough and tumble around Glasgow. And yeah, he's a great guy. He's got a tremendous spirit, Tommy.
Mm.
You know, I'm not best equipped to talk about him. I love Tommy very much, and I'm so happy to. You know, over the past couple of weeks, I've been getting a lot of texts because he was in Glasgow for a month recently, and I went up there to spend time with him, and we were out and about. And all these people have been sending texts. He's been on a TV show on Netflix with Nicole Kidman.
Yeah, yeah.
I haven't saw it yet, and I hear he's very good in it and very funny and stuff. And I'm getting all these texts of screen grabs. And I feel so, yeah, so proud for him. He's a great guy.
He's
Yeah.
brilliant. One of the things that really struck me about him, because I was very intimidated to be acting with him on a project a few years back, and he made it so comfortable and he's so down to earth. And one of the things that really struck me was he brought comedy to everything. So even if it's not in the script, he'll find little moments, and he just had me creasing up.
Yeah.
Um, almost to the point where I got told off, like, you need to like focus on what you're doing.
Yeah.
But he's a lovely guy and such a brilliant actor. And yeah, the Perfect Couple, that's that Netflix show that he's just done. Yeah, again, brilliant in that, and finding those little moments of comedy. So obviously meeting her and obviously Tommy, like way back in the day, and then like those little stepping stones that create a career, all the amazing credits that you've had. Um, was there a moment? I mean, it feels like that first job was a pretty big moment, but was there a moment, maybe that one or after that, that felt like a kind of, right, I love this. This is where I want to be. This is what I'm doing, and I'm on the right track.
I have very much, what's called pinch yourself, like, wow, I'm here, I'm doing this, I'm in this room, I'm part of, but nothing will ever supersede the introduction of working on Morvern Callar, you know. Um, no, that was it had such an impact on me. And I thought, but I didn't know I had no idea. I didn't know I was going to go again,
Mm.
even be given another opportunity. During the casting process, I was very naive and I pissed a lot of people off with my not knowing,
Yeah.
in an industry that can be quite rigid around how things should be done. And I'd just be trying to serve Lynne and the project as best I can. So I didn't have any real boundaries around approaching, how I went about it.
Mm.
So I didn't know it was going to become something. I knew I would wanted to, but I
Mm.
was very fortunate straight after a lovely, wonderful Glasgow producer, but she works everywhere, America and down here and stuff. Gillian Berry asked me if I'd jump onto a film called Young Adam that had again
Mm.
actors that I had tremendous, admiration for, like Pierre Mullen, Tilda Swinton, Emily Mortimer, Ewan McGregor. I was like, oh fuck, you
Mm.
know, it's happening again. I'm doing this job again. I'm pissing people off again. And so from that, yeah, another film came in, and yeah, I've been very lucky along the way. I've managed to keep going.
Mm.
And, yeah, and I still, every day is like, I still approach it like it's my first day.
Mm.
I love the job. I'm so grateful to be in a job that I love doing. I love the people that I work with, good and bad. It can be very conflictive working in casting. A lot of opinions flying
Mm.
around. Some of them fucking a bit looser than others. And yeah, no, it's really helped me. I hope mature as a human being. Yeah, this person's got the right to their opinion.
Mm.
Like being open to that. And it's yeah, it's not. Is that the right word? Nourishing, perhaps. I find it very. I love the job. I wouldn't swap it for anything where I am just now. And later on today, I'm going into physical castings on a couple of pretty cool projects with nice people.
Mm.
My job is not a chore. It's not laborious. You won't hear me complain about this.
Mm.
You know, what I should be doing, where I was. Oh fuck, man, I'm a double rollover fucking Euro millions winner in terms of employment. Before I did this, I was, not to demean these professions, but I did what I had to make money to eat. I'm
Mm.
a very working class person. I worked, yeah. Well, let's just say and less. I worked in less glamorous surroundings. So yeah.
Course, yeah. No, I mean that's the thing with filmmaking, the industry in total. It is seen as this really glamorous thing, but at the end of the day, it's just another job that if you love it, I mean, you have to love it to be doing it because I think it can be quite hard. The ups and downs and have you ever had any moments where, obviously now you're smashing it, you've got all these amazing projects, but were there times where you thought, oh, maybe this is not going to work out and you weren't getting so much work? Was there ever a gap there, or was it always, once you started rolling, it was momentum?
I think I had a moment, maybe I'd been doing it for 5, 6 years. I was getting divorced. I was estranged from my son, which I found very difficult. I'd developed a drug habit again with narcotics again and crack cocaine. And my father passed away, and I was a bit of a mess. And obviously there was a reflection of that in my work. I wasn't delivering. I was making a mess of things. And I thought, all right, this could be over. I made a mess of 3 or 4 projects back to back. My reputation was pretty bad, and the forgiveness and generosity of spirit that I'd received because I didn't train as a casting director. I had no experience of it, and people were quite cool about that. But then when I was making a mess, it can also be a very forgiving industry. But at that point, just at the start of the madness, I'd cast This Is England, and I'd met Thomas Turgis, who went on to be the lead in the film. And then I went into my own downward spiral on a personal level. I ended up borderline homeless, penniless, and the phone wasn't ringing. If it was ringing, it was fucking debt collection agencies and, people like giving me a hard time. What the fuck? I'm here, I'm waiting on you. And I didn't know really when, why? I didn't, I was just fucking things up on a daily, weekly, monthly basis. But then I heard a whisper. They said that This Is England. Somebody had been to a screen and said, that's pretty good. And that kid's electric in it. And I was like, yeah, probably it's a shame I'll never see it because I'm emaciated and I'm looking at rehabs in foreign countries, and but it gave me a will to fix up. So probably not the best phrase to use about giving up drugs to fix up. And no, I thought straighten up, liven yourself up, And I cleaned up in time for at the time when This Is England came out, and the phone started ringing again. So
Wow.
yeah, so that's that. But there's been times, as much as I love the job, that like you look at stuff and you're given opportunities. I've been given a few opportunities by saying, would you be interested to direct and stuff, but I don't think how good I'd be, I don't know. I'm not really sure of it. And I would love to write, but for now, the job casting is all consuming. And I work with a really great team, my colleagues. So I've got to, I've got to. They're kind of a mirror for me. I've got to maintain the same standards of work ethic and approach.
Of course.
Yeah.
But you did write and direct a short film, am I right? Behind the Door.
Jesus.
That is correct.
No, I read recently somewhere that had 1 view, so I take it.
Hey.
Yeah, it's 40 minutes of your life you'll never get back.
So you have tried it though, so it's not like, you've dipped your toe into that.
Yeah, because it was interesting, but what it did show for me was, that I definitely don't have the same feeling towards as I do for my job. It was an opportunity, and the idea came up very quickly. I was shocked by the response, utterly shocked by the response. You know, the people that were in it were people that, you know, yeah, we were given, yeah, it was a good response from like Kate Ashfield, my ex-wife, and Rafe Ball saying yes, we'd love to come out. I was like,
Yeah,
okay,
not bad.
let's go. And David Katz Nelson shot it, and he just won an Emmy or something for Downton Abbey, and I was like, God, maybe it's not that bad.
Yeah.
I didn't have that detailed approach that I see in other directors for
Mm,
every department. I thought I just want to talk to the actors and see if I can figure something out
mm,
along the way. It's something I would have to do a lot more to feel good about myself doing.
mm. That's very
I
big of
did,
you to admit that, though.
pardon?
It's very big of you to admit that, you feel like you could improve on it. Some people are like, yeah, it was great, I smashed it. But
Far
with
from
that cast, you could definitely get away with it and say, yeah, yeah, easy peasy.
no, it's so did you watch it?
No, I haven't seen it, but I will now because I feel like I looked at the IMDb and I was like, Jesus, like you only directed one thing and I saw who was in it and I thought, oh, I'll have a look at that. Wait, do you know where I can find it? Because it'd be quite interesting to actually even use a clip for it on here as well.
Um I don't. I'll say, yeah. People, no, because it crops up. It crops
Yeah,
up. You know, I get occasional message. I'll see if I can. I'll get a link sent to you.
yeah, yeah. I'll try and source it if you're not able to find it. But yeah,
People found it quite inaccessible, and I think it falls on me that I didn't tell the story as clearly as
mm,
I could have. But the big surprise was at the time. It was a long time ago, and we were sending DVDs over
yeah.
out to places. It got picked up in a few decent festivals, and then it was very well received by some decent people in LA, which was a real. It's like, fuck, you know, we're getting these quite really nice messages. Ultimately, it was a good time. It was a nice experience. You know, it was a
Great. Yeah, no, I'll definitely I'll look out for it for sure. I was going to ask as well. I'd love to. I'm interested to see that because I know that your casting work has a very distinctive flavor. Like I feel like when one of your movies comes out, I know it's one of your movies or one of your shows. It feels like a Des Hamilton show. Is that on purpose? Because I know you're saying that you kind of accidentally rolled into this. One thing came after the other, but it feels like you really pick and choose your projects.
Oh yeah, I couldn't do anything that I'm not, I'm not in it for money. I never have been, you know. Don't get me wrong, it would be nice. But yeah, I wouldn't do anything. Second film I did, I thought I got offered something simultaneously, and I didn't do it, and I couldn't figure out what it was. I wouldn't go and see it. This film that came around the same time as Wilbur Wants to Kill Himself and Young Adam. It was quite lucrative. It was a decent production company, but I couldn't sleep properly. It didn't sit well in my stomach,
Mm,
and I I realized, oh, I wouldn't go and see it. I
mm,
would go and see this. I don't want to see it. So yeah, there's plenty of good casting directors out there. One
mm.
of them should, it wasn't for me. No, so but in saying that, I've never got to pick and choose what I do. I've been, like it's nice when your name's in the mix
Yeah.
to be considered. And then I think it's more the director and producer's choice if they want us to work on it with them. Yeah, I'd imagine that they'll be up for that kind of possibly we've got a little bit of a niche in our approach.
Mm, mm.
The start of this, if somebody didn't fucking overdose and die by page 10, I didn't get sent it. was as simple as that, you know. So we have developed this, there's a kind of similar vein to the work.
Mm.
I'm not quite sure what the label would be on it, but there's a kind of, I don't know. I don't want to say anything and sound like a fool.
Well, I'll say it for you. But I mean the project, obviously we mentioned This Is England, you mentioned This Is England, but things like Four Lions, Bronson, they're all like these sort of really just now iconic British movies that have just become, I guess they weren't huge budgets, but they've now become things that people watch all the time and they've become really popular. Do you ever have an inkling when you're doing a project where you go, oh, this one could be special? And one of those special ones where you just go, something about this.
That's a great question. Something I'm not sure. Like if I'm doing a project, I'm all in. So I'm really optimistic that it's going to be something, the voice from the script will come through on screen. I went to meet Jan de Mange and Charles and Elliot Cowboy Films about Top Boy. Must be 14 years ago, possibly. And I remember looking at Jan, and he was just fucking edgy, and he was lively, and he was clear. He was super clear in what he was going to do without saying too much. And I thought, this might be something. The writing, the structure, stuff that I'd never really thought of too much from Rowan Bennett. I was like, there's something really special going on within the overall narrative and the different aspects of it. I felt I didn't put too much on it, but I thought, wow, this could really, really be something. It was it just felt, for me, it felt like a breath of fresh air. And when I was finding my way into it, beginning the casting process, and you're talking to the agents and people and talking to actors about it, I'd be like, oh, I just don't know how to. I'd say it's a British version of The Wire with more edge. And that flew out of my mouth, and I was like, yeah, I'm sticking with that. That's, because it kind of, people didn't come back after I said that,
Yeah.
that British version of The Wire with more edge. Like, whoa.
Yeah.
I was pretty smug for a couple of seconds. I was like, yeah, I like that. And then, and when I watched that first series, I was like, wow. I thought what Jan, the guys at Cowboy and Ron Bennett, and of course Ashley and Keno and everybody was, yeah.
Yeah, I remember watching the first series when it first came out, and it was really like so different. And
Yeah.
before it was on Netflix, was it? I can't remember what channel it was on, but it was on
Oh,
Channel 4, Channel 4. And it was kind of the first of its kind. But then when it went to Netflix and they did, the further seasons, it became a whole, Netflix is such a huge thing, isn't it? It blew up even more. Was that a surprise that, something that was obviously you did quite a while ago, then had a kind of second life
yeah.
years later on a different platform?
Not surprising. The size of it, the scale of it, I felt, I'm privy to read those first couple of episodes of,
Yeah.
what I still call season 3, but what different people call season 1.
Mm.
So
Yeah, yeah.
there was 2 in 2011 and 2013, and then Yeah, it all seemed very different, but it was pretty, yeah, the overall size of it, yeah, it was what we could do,
Mm.
what we had access to. You've got people like Drake in the background and stuff, like, and I'm so fucking, like, I had to ask my kid who Drake was. He's buzzing about Drake, should he be in it? He said, no, he's a rapper. He was telling me, just be quiet when you go to those meetings.
Now for a quick break. We'll be back to the episode shortly. If you enjoyed this episode and want to support us, get early access and exclusive content and episodes, click to join our YouTube channel and become a member now.
Please leave us a positive rating. Add us on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok at lifeinfilm pod. Essentially, please like and subscribe everything. It makes a huge difference. Thank you.
This podcast is sponsored by Betterhelp. Do you work in the film industry? Are you freelance? Or perhaps you have a 9 to 5? No matter what you do, mental health affects us all. I struggled early on in my career with the uncertainty of if and when I would ever work again, struggling to pay my bills, or simply with anxiety. Don't know about you, but being an actor, it's very important for me to maintain structure in the downtimes, and I found not only exercise, but talking to someone, for me, was a game changer. And so Life in Film has partnered with Betterhelp to provide you with access to the largest online therapy service in the world. And it can all be done from the comfort of your own home, from a phone, tablet or laptop. No commute, cutting down travel costs, and most importantly, it's affordable. With over 1,000 therapists in the UK, Betterhelp can provide access to mental health professionals with a wide variety of expertise in mental health. If you need someone to talk to and you're thinking of giving therapy a go, Betterhelp is a great option. And being a listener of the podcast, you get 10% off. That's 10% off your first month at betterhelp.com/lifeinfilm. That's betterhelp.com/lifeinfilm. And back to the show.
What we had that was different when it came back via Netflix was, here we go. The first open call on Top Boy 1, 2010. I'm not sure if that's correct, but I ran down. I pounded the streets for a month before it. 90 kids showed up, right? On season 3, you couldn't do an open call. You couldn't, because it would have been, like, you just couldn't do an open call. It would have been like a football match.
Mm.
It would have been a queue to get into a football match, it would be insane. It would
How
be.
does that change the dynamic? Because obviously before you were, I guess, finding a lot of people that hadn't had that much acting experience, and then suddenly it's this show everyone knows, and you're casting a new season, and it's like you can't really do that street casting, so you have to do normal casting. What the process is, what's the difference between those two things?
No, you would have to identify, you'd have to go to places and get a look at people. Like, you're like half a stalker, you're looking at them, trying to listen in a wee bit, and how they move, how they, the eyes, and then you can go in and they tell you to fuck off immediately. And then you say, I can't stop by. They say, when I said fuck off, I meant, hi, how are you?
Yeah.
It's all that. It was kind of, yeah, still a lot of street casting went on right till the very end on the series, but it was more, you couldn't just put it out there that anybody at once can show up and, potentially get seen for a part down the line. You were cherry picking.
Mm.
See something, you'd have parts in mind for them, for the cast. Yeah. But that's the same on every film we've ever done.
Mm.
We're doing a fairly, what would be regarded as kind of big budget show for Paramount just now, and and we're going through the channels of all the agents and managers and whatnot, and who's got a good CV and who's got a bit of profile, but there will always be room for somebody standing in a queue near to you, and you think, oh yeah, you could play this part, and I would never hesitate to keep yeah, that will always be a part of the game.
Fair play. And obviously winning a BAFTA for Top Boy, did that change anything at all, or was that? I mean, the fact that BAFTA are now recognizing casting, which it's just mental, that wasn't a thing from the start. But did that? Was there a shift there at all, or did you feel that?
For me,
Yeah, winning that BAFTA.
I come from Glasgow, mate. All I've heard out of Glasgow is, yeah, we heard they offered it to everybody else, and I was the only one that accepted. So there's no opportunity for thinking too much about it. Like, um, it's not for me personally. I was very happy for my colleagues in the office, and more so for my mother up in Glasgow. Given how I was as a kid. My mum's crazy about the BAFTAs. We always watched the BAFTAs and stuff. I remember on
Yeah.
Sunday it was a bit of a and the Oscars and so I think on a business level, yeah, it's been quite like I suppose it must be. I don't know. I I loved it.
Mm.
No, it was during COVID. There was no ceremony. I was away abroad with my kid for a weekend, and we watched it on YouTube. And this is when it when it struck home. I woke up that morning, and I said to my kid, "Oh," he said, "What's wrong with you?" I said, "Oh, 1-to-1." He says, Is that you just thinking about it?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "But I'd really like to win." And he was smug. He's tucking in his breakfast. He said, "You will." And I found my colleague Alan at the office about half an hour later, and I said, "Oh, man, I woke up. I really want to win." She said, we will." And I thought, so it was quite mad. That's just a funny thing about us. It's not about, like, we were up against some great shows and great casting directors. It definitely could have went to anybody on there and they would have been worthy of it, more than what, my favorite casting director of all time, Shaheen Baig, was one of the nominees as well, and Nina Gold was on there and people like that. It could have went anywhere. So it was yeah. But the thing that brought it home to me, we're sitting watching it, and when we did one, we were in a hotel room and my kid went ballistic. He went mad. He was so happy. And I thought, all right. So yeah.
Yeah, this is good. This means something.
Yeah, this is good, and it's yeah. But couple of days of nice texts and thanks, and then back to work.
Mm,
You
of course.
know, yeah, that's the ultimately the best thing about it is that it sits on a shelf in my mum's house in Govan Hill, Glasgow.
Oh,
And
that's nice. So she's got it. She's got it.
oh yeah, I'd
Yeah.
have broke it by now. I almost broke it when I picked it up. So
Lucky you didn't. She gets to have it on a mantelpiece.
yeah, she's proud about it. So yeah, so that's a overall best part of it.
And in terms of, this is I pretend this is for the audience and more for me really as an actor, but I'd love to know your advice to someone because I mean a lot of taping is going on now. There's not so much coming in the room. Do you have any advice on?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, go on.
Yeah. Um, like taping will go on to be the entry point into being on a shortlist. You will go into people, as you know, people will go into a room at some point against 3 or 4 others for that part. But the self-taping, um, the self-tapes should be approached the way you would approach auditioning for Hamlet at the National Theatre, regardless of the size of the part, should be approached. We see, forgive me, but Well, no, don't forgive me. I'm not apologetic about this. I'm trying to help. Sincerely, I'm trying to help. Don't shoot yourself in the foot. Don't say, right, I'm going to put that self-tape down at 5 o'clock, between 5 and 6.
Mm.
Don't do that. Don't put yourself, don't debase yourself. Approach it all afternoon. Give it an afternoon and try it and test it and be perfect. Get yourself ready. Get your voice warm. Get yourself physically in the right mindset. A lot of self-tapes seem as if a person is finished off a coffee and a sandwich and thought, oh, right, if I can do this self-tape, and it's a fucking waste of time. I never get it. I never get anything. I can't self-tape. I'm bad at self-tapes. Well, then you don't do it. Do another job. Because you're not being kind to yourself.
Mm.
Go in with the correct mindset. Be correct in every department that an actor. I say actors for actresses and actors as an actor, so including anybody, whatever the approach it correctly and go over your intentions. Scenes are very simple, but to remember what do you want in that scene? What happens if you don't get it? Why now? So that's your foundation. And then go in and do the scene. And you've prepped it. Don't be in the center of the frame. Never be in the center of the frame.
Okay.
And never speak the moment the casting director, the producer, director, whoever presses play. Don't speak. Let them look at you. Let them see that you're there. You are, whoever. You are Othello. Let them see Othello for 2, 3, 4 seconds, and that will make them want to lean in to watch you. When you do speak, don't raise your voice. Even if the stage direction says Frankie is screaming at the top of his lungs, don't fucking do it.
Okay.
Don't ever do that. People are watching. Well, it's a simple premise. I'm not going to be a smart ass, but I studied this and I'm interested in it, and I want to help people. I want to help particularly young actors, people that don't get very many opportunities. I want to help them. When somebody screams at you, you never feel good. Anybody shout. I hear a shout out in the street just now. It does something to me. It takes me back to my childhood when people of authority shouted at me. Teachers, lollipop man, anybody, older kids, when they shout, it's a bad start. It's a really bad start. Find your way into it, and then whatever way your voice, where your volume naturally is, bring it down a bit. When I'm talking like this just now, if you're interested in what I'm saying, you have to lean in. You want to lean in. I'm of interest if you want to. And what you'll be doing in your audition, people want to hear it. Make them, bring them forward. Don't make them, it's like there's a perfect example of it, the shouting.
Yeah, too much.
Talking quietly, it's a perfect example,
Yeah.
I think. And at the end of it, never be seen leaning over with your finger. I've just done a selfie. Never do that. Let it run. Let them see you finish, and let them see that you're still in character. Then eventually walk round it, and stop it. And even I could manage to edit. Well, that's a lie. I probably couldn't. I know people that could, and I could get to them, taking you chop that last 5 seconds off of the dead space in the room. Yeah, and work it and work it, and it doesn't have to be word perfect unless you're. I suppose Shakespeare has to be word perfect because it's iambic pentameter, and and it doesn't work if not. But speaking your own voice, be natural, and you know. There's a lot of stuff that if you've been sent that self-tape, somebody believes in you. A casting director, somebody along the way believes that you can do this great. I would never send anything to you just for a punt.
Mm.
I believe that I could get a surprise of my life. You could smash this. You could get this. So, you know, honor that, you
Mm.
know, by your, and whatever helps you. If there are a few words in there that you just can't get your head around, or you're finding the rhythm of it, it's taking you right out, alter it.
Mm.
Nobody ever got kicked out of equity or out of spotlight by changing a few words in an audition.
Mm.
You know, if anything, I would imagine a lot of people would be more interested that you've got something about you that
Mm.
you're choosing. Obviously, it's a fine line. You don't want to do it too much, but you know, find a way that suits you, where you can be your best. I'm
Mm.
talking to MD that hasn't switched off at the start of that fucking dreadful monologue.
I love that. I think because we've had a lot of casting directors on here, and all the advice that has been given, I've never heard any of those things. So genuinely, I'm doing a tape this afternoon, and when I say this afternoon, I mean the entire afternoon, obviously.
Uh,
And I'm going to take all those things and I'm going to put them straight in there. That's no, that's really, really interesting.
I guarantee you will be recalled. If you don't get recalled, call me up, send me a fucking link to a pair of trainers you want. I'll post them over to you if you don't.
Yeah.
If you're doing it, I mean it. If
Mm.
you're doing that, you're giving it your whole afternoon, and
Mm.
you're going to employ some of the stuff I said there. If you don't get recalled, send me over whatever. And don't go fucking mad. Don't go fucking Prada collaboration with, you know, talking a basic kind of comfortable pair of Adidas.
I love that. Yeah, I love that. That's funny. Yeah, deal.
But imagine you watching a self-tape on a train today, right? You're a director and you think, I should take time to watch a few of these, right? You've got headphones on. Some guy comes on, you press play and he's screaming at you.
Mm. Mm.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Could be fucking Brando in his prime. You would be like, oh, no thanks.
Yeah, yeah. And that goes for being in the room as well, I presume. Like never, I wouldn't shout in the room as well. It's slightly different, I guess.
It just, it might be, I don't know, I'd like to. One day, maybe I should ask other casting directors when I meet them. I don't see it as a tour de force.
Mm.
The people ranting and raving and shouting. I don't. I think as an actor, I think you've got to be able to do that. I think that's there.
Mm.
You know, most actors have got a fucking tremendous amount of angst, anyhow. I'm sure there's certain
100%.
stuff that I think is a given that you can do. You
Yeah.
know, don't
Yeah.
mind, don't do that. You know, like there might be a stage director. He has a long drag on the cigarette.
Yeah.
Then that's two fingers. There's no cigarette. There's no smoking into your fucking. If you're going to do it, fucking then do it. But like, oh, fuck stage directions. No
Yeah.
disrespect to the writers or whatever. God, I hope I'm not coming across as fucking too austere.
No,
I
I think that's brilliant.
presume that you can smoke.
Mm.
I presume you're an actor. You can definitely take a long drag in a cigarette in a tense situation. So, well, I don't. It's nobody ever got the part because they mind smoking a cigarette. They got the part because they took their time, immersed themselves into a role, were totally fucking convincing. Boom.
Mm.
That it's not about any of that stuff. God, I hate fucking listening to myself. I'd like to apologize to him that's watching this. Must be fucking brain damage.
Thank you so much for being honest and going for all those things and it's genuine. It's been really, really interesting. And I do want to ask you one last question because it's a bit of a tradition.
I
Um,
want to I want to say one last thing as well before I go.
yeah, yeah,
So
go on. No, no, carry. If your monologue, you've got more. Keep
uh,
going.
I was told somebody said you're doing a podcast tomorrow. I said, yeah. They said, look. So I just letting you know. I was told not to bang on about the world's greatest football team, Glasgow Celtic. So I didn't.
Yeah, I was going to bring it up, but I feared that might be the podcast then. You've done well. You've done very well there. I noticed you even mentioned it in your BAFTA acceptance speech. So I knew that it was obviously a big part of your life, but we'll swerve that completely.
No, no, I'm not saying another thing till I'm going to go up and get an Oscar in a couple of years' time, and I'll be wearing the full kit.
You should definitely, 100%.
Most embarrassing moments, yeah.
Yes.
It's just like a sick, twisted,
I hope I don't
end to
get.
the episode.
I don't even know if you can you get into trouble for, in the modern day, it's such a minefield of.
Yeah, of course. I can edit, to be fair.
No, no,
I can send it to you and then you
no.
can figure out if it's.
I don't think it's anything that anybody won't relate to, won't understand, and there's nothing sordid about it.
Hmm.
I on my first film, there was people coming in for a variety of parts, and at one stage I had some help booking people in and bringing people in. I wasn't sure of I didn't know about the schedule and I'd been at it. I'd been casting a month, and I got a new camera, for a lot. We were using old TV tapes just for better quality, handheld, and would just record conversations and then do the scenes and stuff. And I looked out, and there was this girl there that I'd seen in films, and I thought was really fucking amazing. And I looked, I thought it was in the production company. I thought, and I looked at her again. She was still down. I said, "Are you here to see me?" Because I didn't have a schedule. She said, "Yeah." I said, "Oh, great." And she came in, and I was like, I was starstruck. And she was really lovely human being, and I was just kind of holding it together, hanging on by a very thin thread. As everybody's watched this as quickly as I ascertained I'm not the coolest of people, and I've stood down. I was like, oh, fuck. And I said, I don't know. I said, we're just going to have a chat on camera today. It's just a very informal chat, not about acting or anything. She said, yeah, and I was going at the camera. I hadn't read instructions. It's not even the funniest of story, but I remember it vividly. And so I said it to her again. I started to repeat myself. I said, yeah, it's just a chat on camera. It's quite. And she was probably like, fuck, is it? I'm not a casting director. This guy's a fucking mess.
Trying to get the camera to work.
Yeah, and I said, and I was up and looking at it, and whatever, nothing's coming on the wee screen that flaps out. And I said, we will get this going, as soon as I can get this camera working. And she, cool as fuck and perfect, received pronunciation, said to me, perhaps it would work if you took the lens cap off.
Oh no.
And I said, yeah, of course I know the lens cap's on. It's more and then I took a few, I had a few more buttons, and then I took a lens cap on. Said, yeah, that's it.
Yeah, it was the buttons, not the lens.
And tried to stay that. Fortunately, we became friends, and when I see her from time to time, she'll say to me, "How you doing with the cameras? Have things improved?" She reminds me. So that's about it. But in saying that, it's one of many embarrassing.
I love that.
I don't take it too seriously, and I hope that atmosphere rubs off on the talent coming through, where this is not an intense environment, and that maybe they can forget they're at an audition. So by the time they get to read, well, or is that me making excuses for being not the, anyway? Anyway,
You got your own cameraman now.
yeah,
Can I share with you just before you leave, just another
yeah,
couple of minutes? I have an embarrassing story, and it actually involves you.
right,
And in me coming in, I came in and read for the Ned Kelly movie, did True History of Kelly of the Kelly Gang,
yeah.
and I remember the director Justin saying to me once I come in the room, like, I want you to wind Des up. I was like, what? Okay. He's like, yeah, do something to really piss him off. And I just thought, oh, I don't know what to do. And I remember doing the lines with you, and it was embarrassing for me because I, when we were doing the scene, all I was thinking about was like, what can I do? And it kind of took me out of it for a moment. And I was like, I remember we were doing the lines, and I can't remember what I did now, but I did something, and your reaction, you seemed really angry. And in my head now, I'm like, well, obviously you were acting the script. But then at the time, it took me out, and I was thinking, oh, is he angry with me, or what have I done? And then I just completely f***ed the audition because I was like in my own head about this comment that was made at the beginning of the audition. Um, and yeah, it was a terrible audition. So I apologize. You probably don't even remember there were so many people coming in for it. But I remember it, and I remember it being toe curling.
I do remember you coming in.
You do.
I don't remember anything being that bad.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, that's good.
Also, did he not tell you to hit me and stuff?
He's what did he say? He was like, oh, just give him a little slap or give him like a I can't remember. It's quite a long time ago now.
Yeah.
And I just remember thinking, oh, I've overstepped the mark, or I've
Oh no,
offended you, or like
never, never, never.
okay, so I wanted to at least I didn't shout. I don't think I was shouting. That was the main thing.
That's good. A lot of people did. So you didn't
Did
do that.
they?
Yeah, yeah. Do you know George MacKay, the actor?
Yes, yeah,
Yeah.
brilliant.
Well, he went on to get the part, but
Yeah,
during
yeah.
I think Justin Kurzel said to him, "Really go at him,
Yeah.
not a little slap." And so it ended up a tussle.
Oh
And
wow,
I'm
really?
kind of looking at George, but he's gone. He's gone. And I'm kind of like, what do I do here? So at the end of it, as it came, I hit him a little bit, pushing him back,
Mm.
just not violent. And I sat back down, signifying the scene was over. George was still in character, and they walked over and they looked at me and he leaned down and he done it. Fuck solar plexus. Yeah. Oh, Jesus, breath took out my red. Oh, God. And Justin's looking at him. Oh, no, he's Australian. I won't do the Australian accent. He was, oh, mate, that was fucking great. And they're talking to each other about approaches. I'm fucking lying there wanting paramedics, oxygen. I love that. I kind of love that. I love George, but oh man, what a dinky. He's got a good punch.
Well, I don't feel so bad now. Having heard
No, no.
that. Yeah, I should
Yeah,
have taken it further, and now I know what to do next time.
yeah, yeah. Jasmine Jobson, her turning point in Top Boy audition, she picked up a chair and she launched that at me. It hit me hard, smacked me. Yeah, yeah.
People are going to listen to this, and they're going to start throwing more at you to try and get the roles.
I know, but yeah, I would say they should be careful who they do that with.
Yeah, of course.
I'm actually okay with it. I'm
Mm.
good with it. If that's what's happening, if it's true and it's authentic, I'm good with it. But I don't know if that would be universal.
Well, Des,
Listen,
thank you
it's been a
so
real
much,
pleasure
man.
to talk to you. And also, I meant to say, I love this. I've listened a few times.
Oh, cheers,
Like,
man.
yeah, I love what you're doing. It's great,
Oh,
fantastic.
thank you. I
And
appreciate that, man.
I hope this have been of some use to some of the people watching. I really do.
Oh, mate, it's been wonderful. I really appreciate it, man, and all the best. Hopefully,
Well,
see you at some point again soon. And
yeah, no,
I won't,
definitely.
I won't hold back. I won't hold back.
I look forward to it.
All right, cheers,
All
man.
right. Have a good day.
Bye.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bye now.
If you enjoyed this episode and want to support us, get early access and exclusive content and episodes, click to join our YouTube channel and become a member now. Thank you to our guest Des, and thank you to his team. And thank you as always to our sponsor, BetterHelp.